where would 12-year-old Rusty be? Like, what blogs is he on? What podcasts does he listen to? Where is he, and figure those things out. And from there, I can go and I can find where the traffic's at. Because traffic doesn't, we don't have to create traffic. Our job is to figure out where it's at and then go find it. And the first step in that is really understanding at a deep level who your customer is. And when you start asking that question and start really figuring it out, it opens up a whole world of potential places to find traffic and find people.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? Guess who it is? Your favorite, Anik Singal, back with another episode. And today's is damn special because I am bringing on a friend from a long time. All right, we've known each other for a long time. Quite honestly, he needs no introduction, not in our industry at all. But I'm going to give one anyways because it's fun. We're going to talk traffic today. We're going to talk about how to get your first 1,000 visitors a day. And honestly, that same formula can then be extrapolated to get to 10,000 or 100,000. It's the same stuff. And we're going to go through in great detail all of this person's massive secrets. And if there is someone with secrets on traffic, on conversion, on funnels, on products, on making money, it's this gentleman. But before I introduce him, you a member of Lurn yet? Come on. It's absolutely free. Go to lurn.com and sign up. We have so many amazing things coming out that you don't even know about. We're creating a revolution here for entrepreneurs, so you can either be a part of it or watch it walk right by you. All right. There's lots of free courses and free resources. lurn.com. Sign up, get in there. And of course, anikpodcast.com. Binge watch, binge listen to all of these amazing Fighting Entrepreneur podcast episodes. So with that said, let's get into the topic for the today and the guest. So you already know this. The guest for the day is Russell Brunson himself. That's right, founder of ClickFunnels. But man, I got to tell you, I know Russell, I think it's probably about 15 years now.
Yeah.
14, 15 years. We basically started around the same time in the internet marketing space. And the first time I ever met him, he was talking about potato guns. Now you got to imagine. I'm a brown man from Maryland, USA, Indian dude, and here's this guy talking about potato gun and really excited about potato guns, by the way, like really excited. And I remember just being like, what is this? This guy's crazy. What is he talking about? But then we start running into each other at events. We start sharing different thoughts with each other. One funny story, I don't know if Russell, you even remember this, but I really wanted to meet Mike Filsaime. Like one of my big dreams to meet Mike Filsaime. I was in LA. You were at an event in Arizona and you're messaging me and you're like, hey, Mike's right here. I'm like, yeah, but I'm in an LA event. You're like, you should come over here. Mike's right here. I can introduce you. So I actually hopped on a flight morning, flew down, sat in the event for 4 hours, nervous as crap. Didn't want to say hi to him because I was sitting far away. But I think that was the first time maybe you and I even physically, like person to person met. And then it was just one of those, like, we just fed off of each other's energy. Like we geek out on internet marketing. In 2008, 2009, there was this huge collapse in the industry and very few of us survived to talk about it. And we were one of the two. And then of course it was after that you asked yourself the same question. I think we've talked about this, which was like, who am I? What am I? Why am I here? And like, what am I doing? And out of that came ClickFunnels for you, which is just tremendous. And for me, actually, out of that came Lurn. And so for anyone who doesn't know Russell Brunson, listen, when it comes to, you've heard the word funnel, it pretty much was modernized and made into a celebrity by Russell. But then he went off to create software and training that's helped, I don't know, at this point. Russell, how many members do you have at ClickFunnels? Like how many hundreds of thousands of people have you reached now?
Yeah. So active members, people have an active subscription. So not people that paid one time and never paid again, but active subscribers, over 115,000 that pay monthly right now, that they're using it. So it's been a crazy journey, and every step in that, from 0 to 10,000 was one set of challenges, and we thought we solved that, and the next set of challenges shifted, and it's been a crazy ride for the last 5 years. 115,000 active people right now.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I mean, look, I'm sitting in the industry and I watch. I feel like every other week, Russell, someone new tries to pop up and say they're the ClickFunnel beater. They're the ClickFunnel destroyer, or it's like every other week. And it's become kind of cliche now where you're just like, oh yeah, here another one. Right. But you guys have really built an amazing, amazing, amazing software. And I think that's why you've built such an amazing community. That's why you have 115,000 people, because of the devotion you put behind the tool, which I've seen and love. And almost most of our students at Lurn use it, and it's amazing. So now on top of that, Russell, you write amazing books. I think it goes without saying. You've sold I think you've sold more books than anyone in our industry. And we could talk another day about your book strategy, because I've seen how you use your books to kind of fuel the funnel, and you live the creed by which you teach, which is all about funnels. But today I want to talk about traffic, and I want to talk about your new book. Well, it's not really new at this point now, but you told me, yeah, right, close to 100,000 sold already. So if you're not reading this book, you're living under a rock. Go to trafficsecrets.com. This book is awesome. You go over, what I love about this book, Russell, is that yes, you've got traffic knowledge. Yes, you're a great internet marketer, but at the same time, you're just one person. But now you have 115,000 people that you basically spy on every day. You can see everything they're doing. Yeah, like honestly, I think I'm sure you do. Just click around and look, because I would be in the web looking like, what is going on? Like, you can learn so much from the collective data. And so I want to talk to you about the first thing in this book, the very first area that you go into. Oh, by the way, shoot, man, we can't forget this. We have an oath we have to take here at The Fighting Entrepreneur. How can I forget? So, Russell, I need you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Russell Brunson.
I, Russell Brunson.
Do solemnly swear.
You solemnly swear.
Tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
And reveal all my traffic secrets.
And reveal all my traffic secrets.
Sweet. All right. We have it on record.
It's happening now.
We could hold him for, what do they call it? Perjury, if he doesn't. All right. So you start, Russell, we'll start right into it. You start by talking about like your dream customer. And it's funny because when I opened the traffic book, I'm like, why are we talking about this? Like, let's get to the meat, man. Let's talk about traffic. Let's talk about Facebook. Let's talk about YouTube. But you devote a huge chunk of the book to this. So 2-part question, why? And then the second is, how do we know who our dream customer is?
Yes. Okay. So great question. And I think most entrepreneurs do start in the wrong spot. They start with like, okay, I need traffic. Let's go to Facebook. And they start going, or let's go, and they go and they're missing the foundation. And I think that a lot of times you can go and you can figure out Facebook ads or YouTube or Instagram, and you can get traffic, but to build like the foundation you need for something amazing, it's more than that. It's not just let me go find traffic and get it. It's reverse engineering and understanding everything about that traffic. So like for me in my business, and I think for most people's businesses, it's probably true. Like the person who you're selling to is you like 5 or 6 years ago, right? Like there was a time where you were the one who was trying to figure this thing out that you're selling now. So it could be health, it could be fitness, it could be marketing, it could be like whatever your product or service is, you're probably selling you 5 years ago. And so we have to go back in time and remember that part of us. So I tell a story in the book about when I was first learning this whole internet marketing game. Before the internet actually came out, I was like a 12 or 13-year-old kid, and I used to be I would order junk mail because I loved trying to figure out how to make money. I would get magazines and I'd call the 1-800 numbers and order all the make money kits, and I'd get things in the mail like, here's how to make money selling gold chains at the mall. Here's how to make money painting stars on people's ceilings, and like all these different things, right? And I was this kid, and I remember sitting there, and I would read these ads, and I would be so excited. And I had I had 2 piles. One pile in my room that's like this is a scam, and this is not going to work. And this pile, like, I have to beg my parents for their credit cards. I need to buy this thing, right? And so that was me. And my nickname when I was a kid was Rusty. So I always try to think back, like I'm creating anything, I'm trying to figure out traffic. I'm like, where would 12-year-old Rusty, where would he go to try to find the answers to this problem? What would he be interested in? What are the things that he would be excited by, right? And when you start thinking more from your dream customer standpoint, as opposed to like, I'm gonna go find traffic, to who's my dream customer, and then from there you can reverse engineer like where is that person actually at? It shifts everything for you. I think one of the big problems that most businesses have right now is they focus just on the one type of traffic. And you've been playing this game for as long as I have. You've been through how many Google slaps have we survived? How many Facebook slaps? How many, and we have so many friends who've been in this business who like had all their eggs, like they were the best SEO person in the world, and now they're bankrupt and they don't have a business anymore. They're the best PPC guy in the world. Now they're gone. And I think for you and for me, the thing that we became really good at is we understood our customers. And so when the platform shifted or the thing changed, it didn't destroy our business because I was able to say, where would 12-year-old Rusty be? Like, what blogs is he on? What podcasts is he listening to? Where is he, and figure those things out. And from there, I can go and I can find where the traffic's at. Because traffic doesn't, like we don't have to create traffic. Our job is to figure out where it's at and then go find it. And the first step in that is really understanding at a deep level who your customer is. And when you start asking that question and start really figuring it out, it opens up a whole world of potential places to find traffic and find people. And so that's kind of why I start with the dream customer.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's very similar to, we always talk about, right? Pour the foundation before you build the house, pour the cement. And so this is a part of that. If you want to get traffic, who do you want? And based on who do you want, it's going to determine where they are and what targeting to use and what interest to use and what messaging to use. So it makes perfect sense. So let's move into the second part of it. So let's say you're talking to someone completely new right now. They're just getting started. And they pick a random niche. They're like, oh, I'm going to go into the gardening niche or whatever. I'm going to do something. What guidance would you give them? How do you get them to then go figure out who that target customer is or the dream customer is?
Yeah. So I always say there's two steps. So step one is figure out who's your dream customer. And step two is asking, like, where are those people actually congregating? Like, where are they hanging out? I think it's funny. The first time me and you, I think the very first interview we did probably 15 years ago, if you remember this, because both of us got started the same way. We would go to different forums and we'd find like these people and we'd create stuff. Because I think, if I remember right, I was interviewing you about traffic equalizer in your videos way back in the day. And you're like, yeah, I go to these forums and I post these, I'm super helpful and people come and follow me and then they buy my thing. I was like, that's how I got started too, right? So the way both of us got started is we found like, where are the groups of people online that are already passionate about this topic, right? And so back in the day, this is pre-Facebook, pre-MySpace, pre-Friendster, right? When we got started, the congregations online were different forums. Now forums aren't as much a thing anymore. There's still some forums in some groups, but mostly nowadays it's happening on social. So there's like Facebook groups on gardening. There's Facebook, there's Instagram channels, there's YouTube channels on these things, right? So it's finding those things. So I would go like in the simplest form, I'd go to Facebook. I would go to the search bar and you can select groups. I type in gardening. And it's going to pull up all these different groups. Like here's a gardening group with 30,000 members. Here's one with 150,000 members. Here's one with 20,000 members, right? And so I would go join those groups. And the first thing I do is I just go and I would listen, right? Like here's my dream customers. Like what are they talking about? What are they frustrated by? What questions they keep asking? I would just pay attention for a while just to get the kind of, I tell my team this all the time. Like we have to get the pulse of the market. Like what are people saying? What are they complaining about? What's their frustrations right now? I would spend a day or two doing that. And then I would come in and say, okay, I'm going to come serve like crazy. I would go in there and I would like every day, like, how do I like answer 3 or 4 questions every single group? How do I like write a really long form thing that's going to be really helpful? And I just start going in there and start serving these people. And what'll happen is that there's a congregation of 30 to 50, 150,000 people who are there. And they keep seeing you showing up, being helpful and doing all these things. And within literally a matter of days, sometimes, it might be weeks, but it can happen fast. You instantly become this authority. People start following you. And all of a sudden, all these people who are begging for guidance, right? I think it was Jay Abraham who said that people are silently begging to be led, right? And they're looking so they're walking around like with a plug coming out of their belly button, looking for someone they can plug into. If you'll come in there and be the one who's sharing and contributing and doing stuff, they'll come and they plug into you. And that quick, you can start getting traffic and start getting people, getting your dream customers to start coming to you. And so that's what this business is all about. It's like, who's my dream customer? Where are they hanging out? And I got to figure it out. Like, there's a pocket of my customers here. So Facebook groups is one example. Podcasts could be another one. Like if you grab your phone right now, this is one of the simplest ways to get traffic that no one ever thinks about. If you open up the podcast app if you have an iPhone, there's the podcast app's built in here. And it's pretty cool because you can search podcasts based on different categories. And if I go to browse, I click on categories. My phone's loading slow right now, of course, but it shows you all the categories, right? So there's business and health, fitness, like every single category. And you click on that, it'll show you, here's the top 100 podcasts in your market right now. And most of these podcasts nowadays get more viewership than TV, right? People always think like, if I could just get on the Oprah show, if I could be on Ellen, I'd be rich. I had a friend who got on Ellen and got like literally almost nothing came from it. And I was like, why did nothing happen? He's like, TV, people aren't watching TV anymore. He's like, it's more profitable to get on a good podcast than it is to get on a TV show. And so you can go in your market, you can go to gardening market, and there's 100 podcasts in there. And each of those podcasts have 20, 30, 50, 100,000 people listening to it. There's your dream customers. How do you get on that show? How do you get interviewed on the show? How do you buy ads on that show? And you can quickly get in front of your dream customers as well. It's all about figuring that out. Like, where are my customers hanging out? What blogs are they reading? What Facebook groups? What podcasts they listen to? And those things, and it starts opening up this whole world of traffic to you that most people never even think about.
So really it's about listening, right? You said that word. I mean, I could have counted it many, many times. And again, the theme of what you're talking about is if you're ready for traffic, first take a step back, right? And actually think, what are you looking for? Where are they? And what are they saying? So in copywriting, Russell, I teach this all the time. When we're working on an outline for a piece of copy, I'll always say, go into forums, go into groups, go into Amazon. When you go to Amazon, you pick up a book, go look at the questions that people are asking about the book, and start looking at the reviews. Specifically, look at the negative reviews, people that did not like the book or like the product. Why did they not like it? What are their complaints? And you just do a brain dump document of all of the things that you're either seeing a lot, objections, obstacles, complaints, problems, whatever you're seeing. Write them all down, and before you know it, you start to learn about your customer. And in this example, where I would use this as a copywriter is we're still talking about figuring out where to go to get traffic. But then once you find that place, what's your ad say? Well, you'll be able to just go back to that document and pick up things that you were seeing people talk a lot about and bring that out in your advertisement. So this document that you end up creating that Russell's talking about right now, everybody, you will frequent again and again, not just to help you figure out where to go for traffic, but then how to write the ads to get the traffic, how to write the copy, how to write the opt-in pages, and eventually maybe even how you create your free reports or your free opt-in, courses or lead magnets or whatever you do. Okay, so this is basically how you start to determine what your dream customer looks like. You start to figure out where their problem points are. We talked about Facebook groups. We talked about podcasts. Russell, are there any other free places online where you find people can go to learn more? Or are those really the two main ones where people can listen?
There's a lot of ones, and every market's different. Some markets are super heavy on Instagram, and other markets, there's no one on Instagram. They're all on YouTube or they're on Facebook. So it's like, it's looking at the different platforms, looking at different things, and then coming in and plugging into all of them. I always tell people that it's funny. I'm sure you get this a lot too. People come in and like, I don't know what market to be in. I don't know what the thing is. And it's like, I always tell people to get into a market that you understand, because you're probably already in the places that your dream customers are at, right? You don't have to go reinvent the wheel and refine it. Like when we launched ClickFunnels, it was easy because for the last decade of my life as a struggling entrepreneur who was trying to grow a company, I knew where all struggling entrepreneurs who are trying to grow a company were at. I knew what podcasts to listen to. I knew what YouTube channels we followed. I knew what Facebook groups were in because I was in them. I was asking the questions. I was in there as well. And so it wasn't difficult for me. Like, where do I find traffic? It's like, I know exactly where to plug that traffic in. And so for me, I'm sure you're the same way. Like before I build any business, the first thing I'm looking for is the traffic, because I want to be able to say, as soon as I create this offer, this thing, I want to be able to plug it in. But second, I want to make sure, like you said, I'm creating an offer that they actually want. That's why we're listening to pay attention. One of the very first info products I ever bought way back in the day was Frank Kern's Underachiever. And I still remember to this day, he's like the three steps to success. Step number 1, you got to find a hot market. Step number 2, you ask them what they want. And step number 3, you just give that to them. And it was like the opposite of like what I always thought was like, create an amazing product, and then write sales letters, sell, and then go find people to sell to. It's like, no, that's backwards. Like find people to sell to, ask them what they want, create that thing, and then they just told you how to sell it. Like you said, like they give you all the things and then just use that to sell the thing that they just asked them for. And it makes your job as a business owner so much easier to do it that way for sure.
Well, so, going back to, you mentioned how we first met and the product that I was promoting back then, Traffic Equalizer. It's so crazy, blast from the past. I think there's probably like 3 people on this planet, Russell, that even know about that. It's like you, Willie Crawford, and Marlon Sanders. That's like the 3 people that actually probably know that I was doing that. But it's funny because I was on that forum back then. Do you remember A Blake? There used to be a forum called A Blake, right? Rest in peace. I love that place. It was more like a chat board. Made me into who I am today. And I would sit there, and I actually had a nickname. I think it was Marlon who gave it to me. It was the most annoying kid, because I just sat on the forum for like 6 hours a day, asked questions. I was active. Wasn't making anything. I was failing left and right. And I tell this story. It's a true story that I posted on that forum one night. I said, I'm done. Like I quit. Look, I used Traffic Equalizer and I got some traffic, and I got some money from AdSense, but it wasn't like, this was me getting ready to graduate college. I had job offers from Wall Street sitting on my desk, that my friends were dying for. And I'm like, a couple $100 here and there on AdSense that's in and out. That's not a business. So I remember posting like, that's it. I quit. Sorry. 24 hours. If I don't make some substantial money, I've been trying this for 18 months. I'm done. And on Blake, till this day, I don't know who the person was that messaged me and said, "Kid, don't want to see you quit. Been seeing the hustle. Let me help you for a day. I'll help you for 24 hours." This is before Skype. This is before Facebook Messenger. I had to like message a person through the chat board, like private message, like it's like ancient. But there's two things that person really taught me that night. And I worked with this person till 3 a.m. till this day, by the way. I have no idea who that person was. They wouldn't reveal their name. That was one of their first like rules of the game. But first thing they taught me was opt-in pages, like building a list. That's where I learned email marketing. And 15 years later, it's still what I'm teaching and doing every day. The second thing was a pre-sale page. But going back to what you were talking about, I used to be in that forum all the time. I loved learning and talking about internet marketing, traffic generation, all that, even though I wasn't getting much. But signature files, right? So that night, this person basically said, you're already posting so many times a day, but you have no signature file. You're losing out on all this traffic. And everyone keeps tagging you on Blake to ask questions about Traffic Equalizer because you've learned so much. Let's put something else. Let's just wrap something around it. So right into your formula you just mentioned, right? I was already in the market. There were people that were super active about Traffic Equalizer, asking questions, already pinging me. All I had to do was I put the ugliest page. I used Microsoft front page, worst copy, put this page up, and I just said, hey, if you want my help, go here. And the deal was buy the software through me, and you'll get my phone number and my email, which I no longer do. That was crazy. It worked back then. But you know what? I made $310 that night. And that was only like 4 sales. I got like 4 sales or something that night. And that was more money I'd made in 6 hours of sleeping than ever before. And I had tried it the hard way. Exactly. I was building all these sites, building all these products, doing all this and trying to go fetch for the person when the entire time I was sitting right where I needed to be. So for everyone who's thinking right now and you're trying to get all complicated, where are you right now? Think to yourself, where do you hang out all day long? What sites do you go to? And how could you just kind of turn yourself from a person who's viewing that site to maybe who's utilizing that site. Really cool stuff. All right, Russell, let's move into another topic. There's a big debate that goes on. Free traffic versus paid traffic. I hate calling it paid traffic because I look at it as investment traffic because we get ROI on it, but let's just do what the industry calls it. Free traffic, paid traffic. What's your, at a high level, then we'll go into each of them, but what's your, someone who's just starting, they want their first 1,000 visitors. What's your thought process? What do you teach? Free, paid?
I am 100% on the paid bandwagon for a couple of reasons. Number one, my whole world, what we teach and what we focus on is funnels. And if you build the funnel correctly, like you said, it's not a cost, it's an investment. So a good example of that is the Traffic Seekers book funnel, right? So if you guys go get the book, you'll see the funnel. And I would recommend buying it slowly so you can see the process. But right now, it's costing us on average about $15 in Facebook ads to sell a book. And then if between the book and there's an order form bump, there's an upsell and downsell. I think last time I checked the stats, we were averaging $68 in sales per book. It cost me $14, $15. I make $60 and we're making profit, right? So if I can get a funnel that works, I can turn on ads and it's all profitable right out of the gate. That's how we grew ClickFunnels, was we made these little front end offers that were profitable through paid ads. And then we were able to just turn on as many ads as possible and it would never cost us any money. Now, with that said, over the last 2.5, 3 years, we've reinvested that money into free, which is funny because yes, free, but we had to reinvest into writers and blogs and like all the stuff that takes longer. And now we're getting substantial traffic from that. But that part takes so much longer. And I think a lot of times people are like, well, I'm going to just, I don't have the money to invest. So I'm going to spend more time and I'm going to work and try to get free traffic over the long haul, which is good. It takes a long time versus let me put the effort into creating a funnel that converts and that can turn on paid ads and be profitable instantly. And that way it ramps up your company so much faster. So I'm a big believer in paid ads to a funnel that's profitable. Cause as you know, that's the secret. That's how we were able to grow ClickFunnels so fast. That's how so many companies grow quickly is because they're able to turn on ads. And I think it's the fastest way to do it.
So there's the catch-22 in that. Completely agreed. If you have a funnel that's converting, even if you don't know how to do paid ads, go get an agency, let someone else do it, pay them. It's kind of hard to lose, especially when you have a funnel that's converting. You can up your prices, you can add another upsell, you can add another backend. That's 2-3 weeks down the road. It's easy to pay for the additional resources that will come in and help you get the traffic. But I think this is where most people in the beginning stages are scared. So let's say they've gone through the training, they've built a funnel, they've had to write the copy themselves, they put the pages together themselves, but they don't know if that funnel is going to convert or not. what's your realistic advice to them early on to get to a place where they know their data and they know the funnel is converting? How should they get that traffic?
Yeah. So the one thing I would recommend, and this is something I talk about in all three of my books, excuse me, but also our community lodge, just we have this concept called funnel hacking. Our people call ourselves funnel hackers. And so a big thing is like, you have no idea if the funnel is going to work at first, right? So the best thing we can do is we got to make the best first guess possible. So it's finding someone who's got a funnel similar. So if you're selling a book, look at mine or look at your book funnel, right? If you're doing a webinar, look at a webinar funnel. If you're doing it, like look at a funnel that's similar and try to model it as close as you can. Because you know that if somebody's buying ads to a funnel, it's probably profitable. So look at what's working and then try to model it as close as you can for your product and your service. That's the first step. And I always tell people, it's like, okay, if I'm doing a book funnel, if someone was to go through my book funnel, they buy the product, all the upsells and the downsells, I think they would spend, I can't remember top of my head, like $400, right? So what I'm willing to do then, I'm willing to say, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to spend $400 in ads and see what happens to the funnel. Because if someone goes through and buys everything, then I'll break even. I want to see if I can spend as much money as I would make if somebody bought everything in ads to see if I can break even. I'm going to gamble that much money. If I've been doing a webinar and I'm selling $1,000 product, I'm going to invest $1,000 to promote the webinar, right? Whatever it is, where if I make one sale, I break even. And that's kind of the number I look at, right? And so I'm going to go and I'm going to invest that. It's kind of scary at first, but I'm going to invest that money, and then I'm going to put it out there, and then sit back and just watch and see what happens. They watch the traffic they go through, they get the email sequences, they kind of see everything, excuse me, and I'll wait like a week or so. And after a week, I'll stop and I'll look at everything. And this is, we call these funnel audibles. So the funnel audibles say, okay, let's look at what happened, and then I got to make decisions based on that. So the first step is like, okay, I ran an ad. Did the ad do well? Like, how much was it costing me per click? And I'm going to look at that, right? And if the ad cost is good, if it's kind of low, then I'm like, sweet, that's good. I'm going to go to the next page. If it's not, if something wrong happened, if it's not converting well, it's costing me, $5 per click, I know that I didn't do a good job. So I know that it's always one of three things. So if I'm trying to fix something, it's always one of three things. It's either the hook, the story, or the offer. And there's a whole chapter in this in the Traffic Secrets book. So I look at the ad. If I'm paying $5 per click, it's like, okay, something's wrong. It's either the hook, the story, or the offer. Which one is it? And I'm looking at it and say, well, the hook's not that good. Or maybe the hook was good, but the story was boring, or the offer wasn't, or whatever that was. And I'm going to make some tweaks there. Then I'm going to go to the first landing page and look at the numbers there and say, okay, was it good? Was it bad? And if it was good, I'm going to go to the next page in the funnel. If it's bad, I'm going to say, okay, something didn't work. It's either the hook, the story, or the offer. It's always one of those three things. I'll sit back, I'll look at that, and like, okay, maybe the hook wasn't very good. Let me try a different headline. Maybe I tell my story a little bit differently, or maybe the offer for someone to opt in. Maybe the thing I'm giving them for free wasn't very good. How do I make the offer a little sexier? How do I make it better? And I do that through every single page in the funnel. And after I've done that, I've done hook, story, offer on every page in the funnel. And I come back and I'm going to spend another little bit of money and see what happens. I'm going to sit back, watch, see what happens, and see if it increased, see if I got to break even. And usually I'll do that 2 or 3 times. And typically by the second or third time, the funnel for me will be converting really well. And that's really how simple it is. I think it's funny. I have people who hire me for consulting, and they pay ridiculous. It's funny. I never wanted to be a consultant, so I made the how much it costs per day like insane. And a couple people have done it, and it's just like funny. And they always come in and they're waiting for me to do some magic trick. And I sit back. I'm like, okay, let me see your funnel. They show me the pages. I'm like, okay, the ad, it's not doing very good. They're like, yeah, we know. I'm like, well, do you think it's the hook, the story, or the offer? And they're like, oh, I think our hook sucks. I'm like, okay, what would be a better hook? They're like, what if we try this? I'm like, all right, let's try that. And then I'm on the landing page. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it's not converting very well. It's probably either the hook, the story, or the offer. Which one do you think it is? They're like, I don't think our offer is very good. I'm like, okay, well, how would you change it? And that's literally what I consult. $100,000 a day. That's what I do in consulting. It's just that. And so you guys can all do that. In fact, I told this story one time at an event, and Stacy Martino is one of our students who they're killing it. And she wanted to hire me, and I told her no because we were too busy. And then she's like, I went home and I thought, what would Russell tell me? He told me he's the hook, story, or offer. So she went through every single page in their funnel and just asked that question. And they realized that the hook on the ad was wrong. So they tweaked that. And that month they had the biggest month they'd ever had. It was just one little tweak on an ad, shifting the hook, and it changed everything for them. So that's kind of the way that we play the game. I'm sure you play the game similar, but that's it. It's putting it out there, testing it, coming back, make some shakes, test it again. And within 2 or 3 times, it's like, hey, it's working. Now you can scale up traffic.
And what I really want everyone to take away from it is notice that Russell's prepared from the get-go to not have it right the first time. Even though he's Russell Brunson and he's built, I don't know, babillion funnels at this point.
I plan on it failing every
What's
single
that?
time. I plan on it failing. It's funny. My inner circle members always get a message the night before they're launching the webinar. Like, I'm launching a webinar. I'm launching the thing. It's going to be amazing. And I was like, cool. I'm so excited that you're excited. It's going to fail. Like, what? I'm like, just so you're fully aware, it's going to fail and you're going to be upset. I don't want to ruin that. Like, just prepare for it to fail. And that way, when it does fail, you're not going to be upset. And you're like, cool. Now I have the data I need to make the changes. Like if you don't have the data, you're sitting there like, what if it fails? I don't know. What if it, and you're freaked out and you don't do anything and nothing happens. It's like, let it fail quickly because the market, like the market will tell you what's broken. And then you're just like, oh, the market didn't respond to these things. Let me tweak it and then try again. And then usually within 2 or 3 times, like it's hard if you're looking at the data that way, within 2 or 3 times to not get it right.
Yeah, very true. And again, it's the same with us here at Lurn. We fail all the time. And I am the same way. I deal with this all the time with our own team. They're like, this is perfect. This is so brilliant. Here's what I've learned after being in this industry for 17 years. And that is I know nothing about this market. They continuously surprise me. So be patient and have a little bit of a budget. Don't be afraid to lose $300, $400, $500 on testing because you're not losing that. You're getting the data. Now, if you just take the data and don't do anything with it, then yes, you're burning money and you're losing money. You got to take the data. So I always tell my team, what do we learn from it? What are the 3 biggest changes we can make now and then test again? So ideally we should be improving every time. So that's very important. And that's what helps you get to the place. By the way, I completely agree with Russell. Paid traffic all the way. It's free traffic is fine and dandy, but it's so much work. And I think free traffic is fun if you're just doing it for fun. For example, I love this podcast. I don't do this podcast. I always tell people I don't do this podcast for them. I do it for myself. It's selfish. I get to pick the brains of some of the smartest people in the world for free. And so I enjoy doing it. Now, if that brings me traffic, good for me. And if it doesn't, I still enjoyed it. I don't care. I don't track how many listens I get per episode.
Yeah.
But man, if I had to do free traffic, like I don't want to be Gary Vee. I can't. All the respect to him in the world. I can't be Gary Vee. Like I cannot have a camera follow me all the time and document my whole life. Now that I've completely shattered the idea of free traffic, let's actually talk about free traffic. We'll come and talk about paid traffic as well for a bit. But let's say we still have a student. They're stuck in their ways. They don't want to move. No, I want free traffic only. Russell, what are the top 3 ways? Real quick. Now, before you do, actually, I do want to say, guys, get this book. All right. It's all in here. You're getting a bit of a crash course, but there's so much more in here. TrafficSecrets.com. Pretty easy to remember. TrafficSecrets.com. Go grab this book right now. We'll talk more about the book at the end, but grab it. Right? Pause, go get the book. So free traffic, 3 techniques, go.
So I'm going to have 3 things that kind of build on each other because when anyone comes to my world, the first thing I tell them is they have to start publishing somewhere. And I'm a big believer in this for a couple of reasons. Number one is think about back when we first met, Anik, how bad we were at this game. Like we would speak at events, we'd be all nervous and like we'd do teleseminars back in the day and I'd stumble over every word and could barely but like we did it consistently over and over and over now for how many, 16, 17 years. It's been a long time, right? And I always tell people like the first thing is you have to start publishing. And there's an article that I share in here from Nathan Barry, who's the founder of ConvertKit. He wrote a blog post on his blog. It was called You Have to Endure Long Enough to Get Noticed. And in the thing he talked about, he's like, you look at any good TV show, typically you'll find out about a good TV show or a good movie, or a good TV show, like in season 3 or 4, right? A lot of times we don't find out about it immediately, right? Because no one knows if it's gonna be good or not, and they kind of wait. And what happens is over time, the best stuff rises to the top, right? And so you think about how many TV shows you found about, how many bands you found out on CD 8 that like they're amazing, right? Or whatever the thing is. And so I always tell people like you have to start publishing because it's gonna do 2 things. Number one, it's gonna help you to find your voice. And number 2, it's gonna help the longer you do it, the more chance people are gonna have to find you. So it's kind of a twofold thing. And so I always tell people like, you gotta pick one platform to publish on. And it depends on your personality. So like any of you guys who like writing, you're like, I wanna be a writer, you should start a blog. And I would just go to medium.com, create a free blog account. Medium's awesome. I got a buddy who's the #1 blogger on Medium. He gets 5,000 leads every time he posts a blog post on Medium. Like it's just a huge platform. It's like YouTube for blogs. Okay. So if you want to be a blogger, go to Medium and just every day start blogging and just start learning your voice, start practicing, start just doing the thing. Okay. If you're like, I don't like writing because it's a lot of work and it's hard for me, but I love doing video, then I would start like a YouTube channel and just like, hey, I'm going to publish 3 YouTube videos a week, every single week until I first off find my voice. Number 2, my people find me. And I would just like make something consistent and then do it. And if you're like, I don't like video, it scares me, then I would get a microphone and do a podcast like this. I always tell people to writing, video, or audio. Like pick a platform and then go, and then you're going to start your show there. So that's number 1. And then again, it's going to do 2 things for you. Number 1, it's going to help you find your voice. And number 2, if you do it consistently, it'll put you out there long enough that your people can actually find you. That's the first kind of tip. The second tip is when you have a platform, it's like the ultimate leverage tool. As you know, it's powerful. Like you have the ability to get a hold of people that you couldn't. You can have the ability to interview people. You can get traffic in ways that you couldn't when you don't have a show. And one of my favorite stories I share in the Traffic Secrets book is from a guy that I wonder if you remember him. Do you remember Arsenio Hall?
Yeah.
So Arsenio Hall back in the 80s, maybe early 90s, he was the talk show host, right?
Yeah.
Every night he was the guy, and those who remember Arsenio Hall, he was the guy who'd come out and roll in his hand, hoo, 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 and like everyone loved him, right? He was so big, his show was so big that when President Clinton was running for president, Arsenio Hall called him on the phone, was like, hey, do you want to come on my show? Bill Clinton came, played the saxophone, played Heartbreak Hotel on the Arsenio Hall show, and many people credit the fact that he was on Arsenio Hall to the reason why he actually won the presidency, because he was able to get so many of the minority and the younger voters. Okay, 2 years after that, show gets canceled, and nobody hears from Arsenio Hall again until, man, I think it was 2012 or something like that, a couple of years ago when Celebrity Apprentice was on. I remember my wife and I watching Celebrity Apprentice. They're introducing all the new people coming out, and one of the people was Arsenio Hall, and I was like, that's that dude. I haven't heard about him in like 20 years. He's the dude on TV. And I remember the second task on Celebrity Apprentice was a fundraising task. And so they're going out there and they're all raising money and they're calling all their friends and all the celebrities are calling their famous friends and getting money donated and all sorts of stuff. And every celebrity on the show raised some amount of money except for one person. And the one person who raised $0 was Arsenio Hall. He's sitting there with his address book. He's calling everybody and no one's picking up his calls. And right before he goes to the boardroom, there's this scene where the camera goes on him and he's all frustrated. And he's like, man, when I had my own show, everybody returned my call. And I remember him saying that. I was like, oh, like that's the key, right? I started thinking about myself. Like I've had the blessing, the opportunity to work with some amazing people, as you have as well. You know, like Tony Robbins and Richard Branson and Robert Kiyosaki, all these amazing people. And as much as I think like, oh, Russell's cool, they would have, you know, if we met in person, we would have been best friends. The reality is no. The only reason why Tony Robbins took my call is because I have a platform. I have a show. I have the ability to give him exposure, right? And because that opened up a door, build a relationship, build a friendship. We've done business together. Same thing with, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Say, you know, like all these different people. It's because of the platform opens up these doors to free traffic. Yeah. Right. And so if you have a show, it gives you that ability now to call somebody like, hey, I've got a show. Do you want to be on a show? Like right now, you called me and said, do you want to be on my show? I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to be on your show. Right. And I'm sure that when this goes live, you're probably going to use my face and promote it to my people. I'm like, hey, Russell's on my show. And a whole bunch of my people will come over and start, who haven't heard your podcast before in the past, they'll start listening. And like, it just does a whole bunch of amazing things for you. Mm-hmm. So number one is like publishing a show because you need that platform. Number two, now you have a platform. Now you can leverage it. Now you can interview people. You can bring them into your world. You can open up doors. It opens joint venture partnerships, things like that. And I think that's the third thing is that after you have that opportunity to interview someone on your show, like now you've got a relationship. Now it's easy for you to say, hey, I've got a new book coming out. Want to promote it? Or, hey, I'm doing a webinar. I want to promote it. Or, hey, let's create a product together. Or all the different things, right? Yeah. And there's so many opportunities that come from that. And so I think for free traffic, like that's the thing I think is the best thing to do. Because it's going to take a while for your show to get traction. But if you're doing it consistently, if you're blogging consistently, in a year from now, you get traffic from your show. Okay, from like the organic posting. In a year from now, your podcast will get enough traffic. In a year from now, YouTube channel. But during that interim, it gives you the ability to make connections with your Dream 100 people who have your dream customers and the ability to join ventures, partnerships, and a whole bunch of other stuff you couldn't do just by buying ads and hoping that the people come to you. So many interesting things there unlocked. Time's of the essence, but I want to backward track a little bit. So while I'm doing that, Russell, my next question for you is going to be your number one recommendation for paid traffic. We're not going to do 3 for that. We're going to do your number one recommendation because the rest of them, people have to get Traffic Secrets, the book, to get into. Here's the deal. So what Russell said, I say almost to the T. He said show, which I really liked because he's 100% right. Do you know how many people I'm now able to look? I would, if I called Russell a year and a half ago, 2 years ago without a show, I'm sure I'd eventually get his attention. I'm sure if I wanted to talk to him, I could get him on the phone or whatever. But when I have a show with thousands of listeners, it sure as heck makes it a lot easier for anybody. Forget Russell for a minute. I know him, but there are so many people I don't know who I want to get in front of who I can't even talk to them. I have to go through their PR person or whatever. Well, when you go to them and say 10,000 listens per episode, I hear you have something coming out. I'd like to help. Boom, doors open right away. But one of the other things that I've been doing is you find your audiences. So my personal Facebook profile has become quite the network for me, right? I've been building it up for 15 years, and most of it's full of people in our industry. Right before I started filming this episode with you, Russell, I made a post. I was testing something. I made a post on my personal Facebook wall, and I just said, this is what's going on. Who's interested? Leave a comment below.
and I'll reach out to you. Now, this is for one of our very, very, very expensive masterminds. This is lead generation for that. At the moment, it's only been 30 minutes. I have 9 leads. I guarantee you, we're going to close 2 of them, minimum. So that's tens of thousands of dollars. So when you build an audience, you could do it through so many different ways, and you're able to just go in and make a post, and then people just respond to you. So it can get that easy. Yes, it takes time to build. And that's why I think both Russell and I are like, paid traffic is the best, because you don't have to take all that time to build it. But regardless, you should be, and it really does work over time. So Russell, paid traffic, number 1 tip. What would you say to someone who's just starting who wants to do paid traffic?
Man, so we just for context, so we spend over $1 million a month on paid ads right now. So we are buying a lot of stuff. It's funny because we do a lot of secondary networks and solo ads and things like that, but still the majority of our traffic comes from 2 places, and it's Facebook and Google. It's still the 2 biggest ones for us. Instagram's doing well, but not amazingly well for us. I think the older audience of buyers are still on Facebook. My daughter keeps telling me, she's like, Dad, only old people are on Facebook. I'm like, well, the old people are the ones with the credit cards in their wallets. The younger people don't. So
Russell, you haven't started dancing on TikTok yet?
I have danced on TikTok, but
okay. wait, was it for your kids' channel or your channel?
Yeah, my daughter's channel blew up.
There you go.
She did a video that went viral, and she's got 10,000 followers now. She's like, Dad, let's do a collab. I'm like, you're the coolest. I'm in.
Nice.
Yeah, but I think paid ads are still such a on Facebook is the majority of what we do. I would say the thing that's maybe a little different that might help, and I talk about this in the book. I talk about hook, story, offer a lot, right? So like, what are the hooks we're putting out? And the biggest thing that I found, I was actually hanging out with Dean Graziosi, and he had a book. We both had a book we launched this 2 years ago at the same time, and we're both just killing it. And I was like pretty proud of my stats. And so we had a call one day, and I was bragging to Dean about how many books we're selling. He's like, "Oh, that's pretty good." I'm like, "How many you have?" And he was like 4 times how many books I sold. I thought he was lying. I was like, "There's no way, dude. There's no way. Like, we are running 100 miles an hour." I was like, "What are you doing different than me?" And we couldn't figure it out. So I ended up flying to Arizona to spend a day with him to kind of figure it out. And it took us a couple hours digging through both our ads accounts and everything looks similar. Like our targeting, our interest, like everything looks really, really good. And then one thing that we finally found was how many ads Dean was creating versus me. And he's like, "Well, how many ads did you create?" And I was like, "I don't know. We do like, I don't know, a couple of months, 2 or 3 months." And he's like, "Oh, that's why." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, and if you don't know Dean's an infomercial guy, right? So he said, when I did my infomercials, he's like, I recorded an ad and it would work on TV for about 18 months. After 18 months, it would get ad fatigue and it stopped working, and I had to create a new show. So every 18 months, I had to create a new show. He's like, the internet's way different. Your ad fatigue's so much faster. He's like, your ad only works for, I don't know, from anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks max. He's like, so because of that, he's like, we bust out so much creative. He's like, I do 2 or 3 ads a day. I was like, what, a day? How do you even do that? And he showed me, he's like, this is my ad creation machine. He's like, I take my book everywhere I go, and I'm like, hey, I'm at my daughter's soccer game right now. It's so cool that I can be doing this, not be at a job because of my new book, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, running. He's like, hey, I'm out doing a jog today. Want to tell you quick about my, and he's like making these little like quick ads all over the place. And he's putting these, pumping these ads out, and he's putting them out and buying Facebook, buying ads to him. And he was putting out 4 times the amount of creative that I was. And that's how he was selling 4 times more books. So we came back to the drawing board, and I started using my phone to start creating ads. And it's the same thing. Like the more creative, like your ads just fatigue faster. So the big secret when you're buying ads is like, you just need more of them. You gotta be putting out a lot of ads consistently. And so like right now with my kids, I pay my kids $1 per ad that we make together. So now my kids are all in on it too. So like we're out, they're in my office, and there's a big Batman suit that I bought for some stupid thing a little while ago. My daughter's like, Dad, let's make a Batman ad. And I'm like, that's genius. We ran over, grabbed the phone, and she's holding it, click record. I do the big Batman ad. And then we send it to the ads team, and I give my daughter $1 for every ad she has, every idea that she makes up. And then we run them. And half of them don't work, but then half of them do. It's just it's a numbers game of putting out a lot of creative. And so I think doing paid ads, but looking at it through that lens of like, you got to create a lot of creative. Your phone becomes that tool, and just using it all the time and having fun with it.
So I want to show you something I'm doing. You can't see it, it's below the screen, but I've been filming you while you were saying that last part. And I'll tell you why. We were just talking about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. Literally with my ads team, we were just talking about creatives, getting far more active with them, having much more creatives. Dude, we do like right now, like before we just started this new thing, it was like 2 a month. new creatives, right? So my team is watching. See, even Russell said, all right, Russell, tell them more creatives.
Good day.
Yes. All right. Awesome tip. Seriously, killer tip. That was an advanced tip. Just so you guys know, like even people. So I invest $400,000 or $500,000 a month right now in advertising. I'm off of very little creative. So I haven't been doing. We didn't have the resources. We were spread too thin. Yada yada. We have built up a huge ads team now. But think about that. I'm investing that much money, and I still needed to hear what he just said. So now you start with it, and it'll just make your life so much easier. Last thing here, Russell, before I really want to talk to you about your book and have enough time to do that. Real quick, growth hacking. This tip is not for the listeners. This one's for me. Okay. You know enough about me. Listen, here's the deal, man. We funnel hack each other. You fess up. You say it because I see your name come through sometimes in the back end, and I'll chuckle. I check every day. I know who's buying, and I always laugh. I'm like, there he is, living his creed. But then I turn right around the next day and buy all your stuff. Funnel hack. I funnel hack everybody. I'm sure you do too. I love funnel hacking stuff. I love marketing. I love copy. So you know enough about what I'm doing. You know enough about what we're trying to build here. You have definitely growth hacked. Like crazy, insane amounts. You probably still have tons that you're still going to be doing. Give a growth hacking tip to me, to the audience, something that you feel like can make a big difference to Lurn.
Oh, very cool. So growth hacking, just for those who don't know, like it's like a cool hip technique that people do nowadays. But if you read my book, I talk about growth hacking is what me and Anik did before Facebook and Google were a thing. Like, and people thought we were like scammers and spammers because we were like pushing the edge and stuff. But all the cool growth hacks people talk about today are stuff we like pioneered a decade ago. So it's kind of funny looking back on that stuff. It's interesting because most of the growth hacks that we've had success with are like little things that aren't. It's not like the revolutionary thing. It's like, oh, it's the new funnel or the new thing. It's like these little weird things. Like when we were building ClickFunnels, we decided to add a little badge to the bottom right-hand corner of every page that says powered by ClickFunnels. And it's super, like, it makes me so mad. It's still like blurry. The image is blurry. It's like not even a good thing. And by default, it's on everyone's page through their affiliate link and it turns off. They can turn it off. But that badge is responsible for over $1 million a month in MRR right now. So $12 million a year comes directly from that little badge that there was like, hey, we should put a badge on people's page. Like, all right. Like just as like an afterthought. It's the little things like that. That I think are powerful. You look at, like, I talk about in the book some of the examples, like Hotmail, that how it grew back in the day was like just had a little thing underneath that's like, I love you, get your free email account at Hotmail, or whatever the little thing was, and that blew up Hotmail and stuff like that. And so it's looking at those little things. You're like, what are like every sales process that you create, like what are those little tweaks? But then the second piece, this is what I want to share with you because I think this is probably more applicable to you and to people who are more advanced. Is not just looking at your own sales process, but it's coming back and like the integration of your stuff into other people's sales processes. We have a friend, Mark Joyner. He wrote a book called Integration Marketing. He was my first mentor. And I remember when we were launching ClickFunnels, I was thinking about this. Like I just reread his book and I was like, okay. And there's a whole chapter in Traffic Secrets about integration marketing. But I was like, how do we, I don't just want to grow my company off of my own efforts. I want to grow my company off of everybody else's efforts too. Like, how do I do that? Like, what does it look like? And so we started looking at how do we integrate into people's businesses, right? Into their sales funnels. And so, one is having a little tab on people's pages. Obviously, we're integrating into everybody else's sales funnels, but then coming back and like getting on people's thank you pages. Like we have a whole initiative at our team where people are going out and saying like, let's put Russell's free book offer on your thank you pages. We find people who have internet marketing lists and we're putting the offers on people's thank you pages. We're getting their email sequences and say, okay, you got a 12-day email sequence. Day 13, can you plug in an ad for ClickFunnels or an ad for this web or something where it's done. We set up once because, we can spend a ton of time, energy and get, Robert Kiyosaki's company to go and promote a thing and we make a ton of sales and it's amazing. But then the next day the sales stop versus coming in and saying, I'm going to plug in someone's webinar sequence. Email number 12 is now going to be mine. Now, every time someone joins that person's webinar and they're going through that process, day 12 is always my email promoting my thing. Now, every time that person buys an ad, I'm always getting a lead on the backside. And now, and if we do that for one person or 10 or 20 or 100 or 1,000 people, then it starts growing. Right now, for people to put in perspective, we get between 1,500 and 2,000 people per day who come to ClickFunnels.com and start filling out the form. They become a lead. They don't all put their credit card on step 2, but they become a lead. So almost 2,000 people a day, and that's all organic, not from paid ads, it's from people who are in all these different things that we've been setting up over the last 4 or 5 years that just organically show up. So if I was to turn off my Facebook ads, if our ad team would just shut it all off, we'd still be getting 2,000 signups a day on the homepage just because of all these things we've been putting in place over the years. So I think it's those little things that at the times like, oh, it's annoying. Like they're only getting 100 opt-ins a week, but it's like, man, but you get 100 people and that person's business starts growing. Now they start getting 500 and 1,000. Like it's just plugging those pieces all in. And then now I gotta know what those things are. I don't know how to turn them off if I wanted to.
Perfect, man. Integration marketing. I will definitely study that more, and so will everybody who's listening. All right, listen, everyone. First of all, Russell, awesome interview. Thank you. Lots of mind blown moments. TrafficSecrets.com. Everybody. Russell, take a minute to tell everyone about this book, what they can expect from this book, and why they need to have this book in their hands right now.
Yes. So this book was a labor of love. It took me, this is my third book and I don't write books quickly. I know you're very good at writing books faster. I stress about it so much. It took me 18 months to write it. But it was written in a way, because as you know, traffic changes. Like since you and I have been playing this game, traffic has shifted so much. I was like, how do I write a book that give people the foundations where they can get a lot of traffic quickly? You know, we talked about getting 1,000 people a day. Like how do you get that quickly? But then also make it evergreen so that if Facebook gets shut down by the government or if your ads account gets slapped or whatever, that it's still applicable, it's still going to work. And so it took a long time to get it, but I'm really proud of it. I think if you guys read this, it's going to help you understand how to build a foundation so you can get traffic from a ton of places. So you're not relying on one traffic source, hoping and praying that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't go to jail for something dumb or Facebook doesn't get shut. You know, whatever that thing is, you're not relying on just one thing. You can build a holistic traffic approach where you get traffic from a lot of places. We're doing the free offer right now. So if you go to TrafficSecrets.com, you can get a free copy. I'd highly recommend Funnel Hacking Me. Buy slowly, look at every page. Like I spent as long writing the book as I did creating the funnel. So like every inch of that page is thought through. And if you're a marketing nerd like me, it'd be worth just watching and looking at what we're doing and how we're doing it because it's working really well.
Go get a free account at useloom.com. And while you're buying it, turn it on and film yourself buying it. And then you'll have all his pages. I did that. And it's awesome.
I'm the same way. I don't buy anything on my camera.
Exactly. Capture it all. Because they take things down later and you want to be able to have your own version of it. What an incredible episode. Thank you, Russell. All the best to you. Congratulations, man, on all your massive success. I know I tell you that every single time I see you. Congrats on the huge success of the book, of every book, of the trilogy, of ClickFunnels, of just everything you're doing, man. And so awesome stuff. You're living life. Thank you again for all of you watching and listening right now. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment below, click subscribe, hit the bell icon, hit the thumbs up icon. Say something nice, man. Russell took time away from his life, his family, his business to be here with us. And then, of course, if you're on any other platform, make sure you go to anikpodcast.com. Go to iTunes, leave us a review. Every week, I pick random winners to get cool stuff like swag and maybe a call with me and maybe cash prizes. If you leave a great review for us in the podcast, help us grow this podcast. With that said, everybody, this is Anik Singal reminding you when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.